This week on This and That Garage, we are still on the old pile of rust C10. Yep, sure are. Still trying to get her back on the road, but if you will recall last week, everything I touched was a disaster. Hopefully this week, though, we'll get a little bit more stuff done, get this feller closer to getting it on the road. There ain't but one way to do that, though, so let us get busy. Here is our drive shaft tube. What is it? 3" by 0.083 wall. I believe that's just the standard size. Yep. Of course, it's way too long. We'll have to cut her off. Where is, here it is, my slip yoke. We got to put this in the transmission in the moment and measure from center of this to the center of our yoke on the back there on the rear end. And do some math and subtraction, and that'll give us our length for that. I got some other stuff too, but I don't know where it's at. It might be an opening in there. It's the pieces that we weld onto here. I don't know what I did with them. Maybe they're over here. Let's go over here and look in this area, because all of this is for the truck. I still don't see them. I know I bought them. Let me find them, and then we'll get over there and get us a measurement. I found them right there. That's what, slips into your drive shaft tube. These are 1350s. Most common size is 1310, 1330, 1350. 1350 being the biggest, 1310 being the smallest. And you got proprietary stuff, like my four-wheel drive. It's some old oddball stuff from GM. Ford, the 9" rear ends in the truck, they're an oddball size, but this is typical, hot rod building. That's what you do. This is 1350 also, but we'll have to have a conversion, which I already got it. Conversion U-joint, because the rear end is 1310. But anyway, let's get under here with our slip yoke. Put that little feller up in here, and you want to bottom it out. And I got to go get a tape measure. You want to pull him out about 3/4 inch, probably about right there. And then you get your measurements. Let me measure that and then measure the length we need, and we'll head over to the lathe, and we'll go to cutting on the drive shaft to get it ready. All right, push this little feller back in all the way. Get us a measuring point. That's 1/4, so let's take that to 1 inch. About right there. And then we'll measure from center to center. I got to get, let's see, I guess we can measure from that end right there. And I got to go through this hole also. And then we'll go from there to center of that. That puts us at 53. Let me get on here. 53 3/8. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. Then we got to do some math. I'll tell you about that here in just one moment. 53 3/8 of an inch, that's what it is. But not really. Nope. Here are the two ends right here. Say our drive shaft is right here. Well, these, have one on each end. Well, we've got a measurement from here to here, center. We need it from here to here. Well, luck would have it that the standard measurement from here to the center of this is 2 inches. So 2 inches here, 2 inches there. Take 4 inches off of the measurement we got. This tube needs to be 49 3/8. We're going to cut it a little long here and then chuck it up in the lathe, and I'm going to true the ends of it up, because I don't really have a good way to, make sure these are 100% square. So if you true that end up, it's a machined end. This is a machined end. You knock it down on there where it's flush. It should be good enough, where it ain't going to have a bunch of wobble. Anyway, let's cut this little feller off. This is DOM tubing, by the way. I would trust one end of the tube to be straight, but I don't know how they cut it. If they cut it with a bandsaw, then it probably ain't going to be all that true. Well, I got to take that cap off where you can mark with that. Anyway, we're gonna cut her off at 50. That'll leave us with 5/8 of an inch to true up on the lathe. We'll mark it twice, and then we're gonna wrap a piece of tape around it to help us cut kind of true, you know, so we don't get real far off. Where's that other mark at? I don't know. All right. Let me get the cutting utensil out. We'll cut this side now. Don't cut this side. It'll be too short, you big dummy. All right, let's go to the lathe and go to working on this little fella right here. If you will recall, last week I told you, you know, I had new wheels and tires for this little fella here. Got them put on. I don't really like them. I mean, they're okay, but the Torque Thrust 2s look better. But I've already drove it and still got a little shimmy. You can feel it just a little bit in the steering wheel and a little bit on the back end. So I don't understand that. That's about what it used to do with a new set of tires. You could barely feel it front and back, and then it would get worse. Only thing I can think of is I've got a rotor not balanced in the front, and in the back could be an axle, could be the drive shaft. I don't know. As far as it getting worse with time, that whatever out of balance, I don't know. Maybe it wears the tire funny, and then it just gets worse with time. I don't know, fellas, but fool on it. It's just going to have to shake. It ain't bad right now. I'm going to give it a few months, but I guarantee you it will probably get worse like it always does. Anyways, let's go work on this drive shaft. Well, after 16 years, I think I got her set up. Yeah, and this is just about as long of a piece as I can cut on the end, yep, on this lathe. 50 inches. What you have to do, you know, using a 4-jaw chuck, well, you got to get her centered roundy round, and then when you use a steady rest, instead of what you call that thing on the end, I don't even know what you call it right now. But anyway, you have to take your dial indicator and go along here, and then go along the top too to make sure you're not this way or this way. Got her trued up. It's within, well, I put my dial indicator on this saddle, move it back and forth. Well, I wanted this out here close to the end, you know, so that's where we're cutting. So I can only had this much room to run my dial indicator. So I had to get her, you know, pretty much dead nuts on. But I believe it's ready to cut now. Let me put some Earl on that little fella there if I can find my squirt can. Where did it go? I had it just a minute ago. Well, that's good. Anyway, as soon as I find my squirt can, I'll oil this, and then we'll cut us a little bit, true this up. Then we'll have to flop ends, and we'll true that end up and cut it to length. Well, I found my squirt can. It was laying in the floor, right where I put it. Yep. I just can't remember nothing anymore. Anyways, let's cut this little fella off. We got to cut, was it 5/8 total? We'll cut maybe a 1/4 inch or so off this end, and then we'll do the other end same way. You have to watch your steady rest too, because it will loosen up on you. All right, this is good enough on this end. Let me swap ends, get everything trued up again. I shall return. Stepped outside for just a minute. Y'all look here who showed up. Oh, Miss Daisy. How you been doing, girl? You come from around the corner there. You've been getting you some bologna, ain't you? We'll say hello, everybody. All right, we'll see you later. I got to get in here and work on this drive shaft. Well, I got her ready to go. This way and this way are dead on. Roundy round, it's about 3 by thousandths. That's good enough. So let me give her some Earl where this steady rest is, and we'll go to cutting. Tell you what, let me find something to wrap around this drive shaft, keep it from singing like that. I'm gonna tie this rag around it. I ain't got no tape I was gonna tape it on. Let's just see if I tie that real tight. Well, I ripped it. Let's just see what that does. That seems to have done the trick. Anyway, let me work on this because I got a lot to cut off. I'll be back in a minute. Well, it's been about 63 years, but we're getting really close to the end of it. Why'd y'all let me leave this so long where I had so much to cut off? Let me stop it right there and we'll get us a measurement. I got me a mark there and it looks like we're pretty close. Yep. Let us see. That is, well, that's pretty much dead on. Yep, 1, 2, 3. Yes, sir, I think we're done. All right, now we get to work on the ends, putting them on. Now what we got to do is file this inside edge because it's got a burr on it. We're going to put a little chamfer on it. Then I'm going to file the outside just a wee bit too. Maybe put a little chamfer on it. Now what we got to do is get one of these drove in to that first step right there. And then we got to weld it up. She's tight. Darn. That does not want to go in at all. Well, this ain't working out real good. I think she started being cockeyed, but it started. I believe she's drove home. Yep. All right, now what we got to do, I don't have any way really to check to see if this is running true to this. The only thing you can do is you got a machined edge on this tubing, machined edge on this end. If you drive it down tight, it's, you know, it should be pretty true. I'm going to weld this real quickly and then we got to work on the other end. Let's get over here to the vise. What in the world is going on? Like it ain't penetrating. That weld is a 1/4 inch tall. What in the world? I've never really been a fan of this welder. Nope, that looks awful there. Goodness gracious. That right there looks awful. I ain't gonna lie to you. Yeah, it's right in here. It's real tall. That's where that booger fell off on me. We'll grind that down when we get back to shop, but it's gonna have to do because ain't nothing I can do about it. Anyways, let's get the other end on over here, and we got to get on the lathe. Now what we got to do is get this in here. I'm gonna set this on a piece of wood because if I leave this on the concrete, beating and banging on it, it's liable to mushroom them. So we're gonna set it on a piece of wood, and these have to be phased. They have to be going the same way. I'm gonna eyeball it for now, and then we'll lay it on the ground. You know, you can tell by rocking it if they're straight or not. Well, that one there started a lot easier, but it's very cockeyed. All right, well, I can lay it on the table right here if I clean some stuff out of the way. I got to get over here one of these days and clean this basement up. It is a mess. Here's what I'm doing. You lay it flat and it lays on this machine surface. Ooh, that was hot. I'd like to have burnt me. And then if they're both flat, then it won't rock. Well, if one of them's off, it's gonna rock. This ain't rocking, but this ain't. See how it's looks like that? It's cockeyed. Let me whoop on this a minute and get this straightened up, and then put it in the lathe. I've got to put an indicator on here and get it running true. Whoop on it with a hammer. Well, that just come out. Let me work on this. Well, this might take me a minute or two. I shall return. Well, I'll tell you what I can do. Let's do this. Get it right here. If I can get them both flat, then I can mark this. This will be better than just guessing. We'll get this little feller flat here. And I'm gonna put me a mark right here. Then I can go to whooping on it. Get the marks lined up right there. Where's my hammer? That ain't bad. Let's lay it down and see what we got. If there's any rock, it's just a wee bit. I ain't gonna worry about it, fellas. It's good enough. Let's get her in the lathe. Actually, what I gotta do first is put this on here. Let me get my U-joint out. We'll get over at the, what's that thing called, the vise. We'll put this U-joint in. Let's get this little fella in. This is a non-greasable U-joint, by the way. Put her in like that, put her in like that. Get this cap, get it started. Put that up in there. Now I need a socket right here. Hold that there. Yeah, I think I can get my clip in. Right there. Clipper. Alright, now we gotta rotate it this way. Get this cap here started. Now sometimes I have a bad habit of knocking some of them rollers loose when I do this. Hopefully I won't do it this time. Yeah, I believe she's in. Now how does this feel? Ooh, it's tight. Well, it loosened up a little bit. What you do when it does that, well, you can peck on this here a little bit. Not hard. Sometimes that'll loosen it up. That ain't bad. I think we'll leave it for now. I might work on it a little bit. But now let's get the other piece on. And there you go, fellas. We got one U-joint installed. Oh yeah, ain't nothing wrong with that. Let's get her to the lathe. All right, got her trued up going this way and this way. Now we got to get her trued up going this way. We are out about 75 thousandths or so. Yep. This side here needs to go yon way. So let me roll her back over here and pick on it with a hammer this way. I'm gonna pull back on my dial indicator because I don't want to be beating and banging on it. Fat side, yeah, I'm not hitting it hard enough, so bring it back over there. All right, that's within, well, 7 or 8. There's the fat side there. What we got now? That's within 5. Yep, I think we're gonna leave it right there, fellas. Let me tack it up. Yep. There she is, fellas. We got the dial indicator on her. Y'all watch her. It's pretty close. It's got that one anomaly right there. It goes back to 0 and it bounces around maybe 5/1000ths. Yep, so I think we're good. Oh yeah, let's get her out here and get it to the house. Well, I got my other U-joint on, so let's put this little feller up in here and make sure it's gonna fit. I think too long or too short. Approximately like that. And then approximately like that. We'll get on there. All right, now, get this feller right here up in there like that. I believe that's it. Yes, sir. Well, let's go see how much clearance we got on our slip joint. All right, how much we got showing? We got, well, that's showing 1.1/8. Well, what's going on there? Maybe it didn't slide all the way in there. Let me see real quick. Yeah, sir, that's what's going on. It ain't going all the way up in there. It's got probably 1/4 inch. Let me measure that and then slide her back, and we'll measure again and see what we got. You can see where, I don't know if y'all can, there's a line right here where my finger is. That's where that seal was hitting. That's how far in it went. So let's measure to that. What have we got? Y'all are in my way. I can't see. It's right at 3/4. It may be 13/16, but I think we're just fine and dandy. Oh, yeah. I saw this the other day, and I was wondering if it was going to interfere. This bracket right here, I don't know what it is. Let me turn the light on so you can see. This bracket right here, I don't know if that was where the old carrier bearing for the 2-piece drive shaft went or not. But it ain't got but maybe 1 inch of clearance. So we're probably going to knock that out. Not tonight, but might do it tomorrow. But need to do it before we put the drive shaft in. I'm going to pull the drive shaft out, clean it up good, give her a coat of paint. I think we're going to make her gloss black. Oh, yeah, because she's pretty smooth already. After I do that, I believe I'm going to call it a day. Tomorrow, I don't know what we're going to work on. I got a bracket. Remember how we broke our accessory bracket? I got one coming. I think it's supposed to be here tomorrow. If it gets here in the morning, then we'll get back on that. And I'll tell you what we're going to do about the radiator tube. But anyways, see y'all tomorrow. Today's the next day, and here's what's on the agenda. I got my, what's this thing called? Accessory bracket. We'll talk more about that in a minute. Once we get that put on, alternator and power steering pump on, I would like to move this. It was the belt's real close to our water neck. Going to move it up this way. Then once we do that, we got to get this radiator in the truck. I'll speak more about that in a minute. But for now, this little fella here, I found it on Amazon. It was $75, I think. It's aluminum, pretty thick. Comes with the idler pulley too. This is supposed to keep everything in stock location, power steering pump and alternator. They had one like $35, but it moved the alternator way up here and it looked goofy. So I got this one instead. So let's see if we can't figure out how to get this mounted and get it on the truck. Got to pull the power steering pump off. I tried pulling these bolts without pulling the pulley. Nah, the bolts hit the pulley. Why would they not put 2 holes here in line with the bolts where you just stick a socket in there and pull the bolt out? I don't know, fellas. Anyway, this is how we got to do it. So let us do it. Hopefully it comes off because that's really rusty. Ta-da! Let me get the rest of these bolts out. I'll be back in a moment. This came with no instructions, so we're just guessing in the dark here. You put this here, obviously, but it hits, so it doesn't lay flat. So I'm assuming, well, there's only 2 of these. Wait a minute, here's one short one here too. Okay, I see where it goes, because these and that are different. These ones will go here. Now, which bolts go where? I don't know. Well, I dropped one. You got 4 long, 2 medium, 2 medium, 2 medium short, or 1 medium short, and then 3 short. I'm gonna say the 3 short go here, what we're working on. So this is gonna be kind of aggravating. Let's do this. Put this in here, this in here, this in here. Then put these fellers where they go. Then, well, they fell off. All right. No, see, they keep falling off. This is probably going to anger me. I'm going to have to turn the camera off because I'm going to say bad words. Yep. Well, let's just do this. Yeah, let's try that. Just use one. Maybe we can get the spacers in the other 2. All right, there's 1. Let me get the other 3. I'll be back and we'll figure out the rest of it. I've lost a spacer. Well, that's good. Here it is. I found it. I found it. Well, I got that tightened up. Trying to figure out the alternator situation. I'm not real sure, to be honest with you. But I think it's going to go just like this, and then this bracket here goes like this here. Then this bolt is going to go through here. So let me see if that works. If it does, I'll be in business. Yeah, got a nut here. I'm not going to tighten these up because we got spacers that go in these ones. Let's flip this over. These are the ones that bolt it to the motor. You got these spacers that go here. Man, that's a lot of thread. That ain't gonna work. Huh. Well, that is super duper long. Oh, wait a minute. We got some more spacers. Okay, these shorter spacers go back here. Just like that right there. Okay. I got you now, buddy. I'm assuming that'll go there with, well, a spacer, but I don't see one. Oh, wait a minute. Here. This bolt and spacer will go down there. Okay. I've got, well, I thought I had some extra bolts. I don't guess I do. Wonder what these 2 holes here. This one's for the thing here. Okay. That'll go like that right there. And this short bolt with a nut. Probably this whoosher. Will it go there? Maybe, probably. Anyway, let's transfer this over to the truck and hopefully it does not fall apart. Yeah, that goes there. And we can get this done. Well, I decided let's go ahead and put the pulley on now while it's out here where I can get to it. Well, the apparatus you use is this right here. This bolt screws down into threads in the middle of the shaft, and then that's a little bearing, and you turn that and it pushes that pulley back on. Well, the threads are either shot and I'm putting new threads, or they're really rusty. Anyway, let me see if I can't get this fixed up, get that pulley on, and then we'll put it on the truck. I got the threads cleaned out. Hopefully there's enough there to hold this screw in place and not strip out. But that right there's how you do it. Run this little feller down here. Get the proper wrenches. 11/16. Alright, let's see. Oops, wrong way. See if this little feller will work. Get this pulley on. Well, it feels like it is. Oh yeah, she's going on. Let me get this done, then we'll get back over there to the truck. Put all this on. Alright, here we go, fellas. Let's see if we can... Oh, I got it upside down. Let's do it the right side up. See if this little feller is going to fit in here. How does it go? Let's see. Does it go up in here, I guess? No. Yeah, they bolt to the head. Something about like that, I do believe. But something's hitting and that won't let that go up all the way. What am I hitting? something's hitting somewhere, so the little feller won't go on there. Let me struggle with this. I'll be back, because something ain't right. Well, I think I figured it out. This feller here is some kind of switch for the power steering. It's pointed down and it's hitting something. Let me figure out how to turn that, and then I'll turn it. Well, here's the deal. This is supposed to spin freely like this. Well, it's kind of stuck because this power steering pump is really rusty. Anyway, I got it freed up and I got to looking at it, and this, I said it was a sensor. I ain't sure about that now. It looks like this is a solenoid. I don't know. I'm gonna have to study up, because we may have to have a different power steering pump if this is a solenoid. I'll have to do some study on that. Anyway, right now, let's just put it on for belt purposes, you know, because we don't have power steering anyways. All right, let's see if we can't figure this out this time. And maybe it'll get on there and fit. Yes, sir. I think I just started that one just a little bit. All right, let me pick up the stuff I dropped, and we'll continue putting stuff on. Where did it go? I don't know, sir. What did I drop? A bolt and a spacer. I don't see nary one, so that's good. There's the bolt. I found it. Now, there's the spacer. I found it. Ha ha ha! Oh, this hurts my knees. And somehow I got to get this down in here. No, it's got to go here. Oh, great googly moogly. Now I need a short one to go down in hither. If the manufacturer of this bracket system is watching, I highly recommend you use studs instead of this right here. It would make it so much simpler. Yep, sure would. This one and this one is going to go down here on the bottom, approximately there and there. Idler goes there. Why would you put it there? I'm gonna have to study on that. I wonder if you could do that and not run power steering. I don't know. I'll have to figure that out. But anyway, let me get this little feller in here. I can't get to it because our distributor system is in the way. Speaking of, let me tell y'all something about that. I found a gearbox. Remember me telling y'all that if I could have found a gearbox, you know, a 90-degree gearbox that could handle RPM, I would have stood this straight up. Well, I found one. Yep, it's coming. It was not cheap, but it's rated to 2,500 RPM. And you got to remember, it's turning half of your crank speed. So that means, according to them, it's good to 5,000 engine RPM. Well, you know, we're probably going to turn this thing 6 or so. But, you know, it's not going to stay up there. So it'll probably be okay at that RPM. Just, you know, brief moments. We're going to find out, because as soon as it gets here, we're going to start working on getting it mounted and get this little feller stood up, because I've never really liked the way this looks. Yeah. Hopefully we can get her right here, make this look a little better. Well, that looks pretty good. It looks a lot better than the stock one. Sure does. I like that a lot. Glad I found them. That's probably what I'll put on all LSs that I build from now on. That looks good, except for that ugly power steering. It's all rusty, but probably gonna get a new one, but I don't know. Let me turn the light on real quick. Well, you can't see it. That's what I think. There it is right there. It looks like a solenoid, like it's gonna open and close a valve on the pressure side. I don't know. If so, then we're either gonna have to, I don't know, run electricity to it or something. I don't know. I gotta study on that. Anyway, what we're gonna do right now though, we're gonna loop the pressure side to the return and put a little fluid in here, cause it's not good to run them, you know, dry. Let me do that real quick, put a hose clamp on that, and then we'll move on to, I guess, our tensioner bracket over there. Here's what I would like to do with this little fella here. You know, we already got this made. What if we weld us a piece to it, bring it up here a little bit? I'm hoping we can still use the same belt, and it'll get it away from this water neck because it's just right here. I wonder if we can see, has it been rubbing any? Yeah, I can see it just a little bit right there. A little bit shiny. So yeah, we need to move that. Let me get this loose, get it moved up here and get us a measurement on our metal. What if, I just thought of this, what if we use that one existing hole, just weld us an extra piece? Yeah, I bet that'll work. Let's try that. Let me get a measurement on this metal right here. We need a piece approximately, if we go straight out, 3 inches would be more than enough. All right, let me see what I can find. That's 1/4 inch. I probably got some over there. 3 by, what is that? 3 by 3. All right. Well, look here what I found. This is 1/2 inch aluminum. I think that's what we're going to use. We're going to get rid of that's on there. And I have modified our plans, so we only need to go 5.5 inches. I think that's right. And then by 2 inches. So let me set this where it goes there at 5.5. Make us a mark right across there, and then we'll drop her back down to 2 of the inches right about there. Make us a mark right through here. Let me get to work cutting that out, and we got to drill how many holes? 4. Yep, 2 down here and 2 up here. Got her cut out. This is the old bracket, mounts to the water pump. We got to transfer our holes, and got to cut that little feller out too, because there's a rib on the water pump. Let me find the proper punch. Now what I got to do is put this here, just like that. Mark this and cut it out with something. I wonder if this grinder will fit in there. Let's make sure I ground that little groove out enough. Do it sit flush. Yeah, it looks like it does. All right, let's mark these other holes real quick. Here's what we're gonna do now. Line this feller up with them bolts. I'm gonna use this as just a guide, because the new holes will be on this same line, same plane. So we'll make us a mark, or we'll get us a straight edge, make us a mark, and then we can put our new holes in. All right, let's get this little feller, line it up about right there. Scribe a line. Now what I got to do, I'm coming in between these two halfway. Or no, I know what I was doing. I was going 2 inches. So let me put this 2 inches. That's where our first hole needs to be. Make that a little bigger. All right, let's drill this one out, and it needs to be 3/8. All right, let's drill that now. Now what we'll do is bolt this little feller to this plate, approximately exactly just like that. Then we'll get her about even. And then let's go over and drill this hole, and I think we'll be done. All right, do these holes here line up? Yep, they sure do. All right, let's go put this feller on the truck. Here we go. Let's get this little feller on this here. Most 4. Now, will this fella here go on and not hit this or this? We shall see. Yes, sir. Awesome. Let me find the belt. Actually, before we do that, let's put a straight edge on this, because that is a little bit out. We may have to shim it one way or the other. What do it look like? It's out. It ain't out a lot, but it is out. Probably one whoosher behind our bracket to move it back. Let's try that. Now we got to put this in between the water pump and the bracket. Just like that right there. My bolts ain't long enough now. I gotta get longer bolts. Got us a little longer voltages. This should work now. Now, what does the straight edge tell us? How to get a different straight edge, because it was hitting down here. Empty ways. What we got now, that is, yeah, it's very close. I think we'll leave her just like that. Let's see if the belt's gonna fit, or do I have to have a different length now because we moved that. I gotta remember which way this goes. I believe it goes around this way, down here on the power steering, up on the alternator, under the idler, over the tensioner, and around the crank. Let me get a thing for that. All right, does it fit? And is it tight enough? Well, it fits. How much more do we have? I mean, we got some. We could probably go a ½ inch or so shorter, but we'll see what this here does. Remember, it ran off up here on the alternator, I think it was. Yeah. Let me get the straight edge back and check all these in the alignment department. See what they look like. Alternator. It's actually back about 1/8 of an inch. Power steering. They are. Oh, wait a minute. My belt ain't on the thing right here good enough. Let me scoot it back some. There we go. Now let's check it. Alternator. Oh yeah. Pretty much dead on. Power steering. It's a little bit off. Yeah, I might have to put the pusher owner thing on. Push that back a little more, but I think we'll be all righty then. Yep. I've been out here, I don't know, 2 to 3 hours. The old knees are starting to hurt. And I want to work more than 2 or 3 hours, fellas. Yeah, that's ridiculous. What I'm going to do is go in the house, rest my knees for a little bit, come back out. We will get the radiator mounted. Hopefully, I'll show you how I'm going to do that. And I don't know, we might get some other stuff done, but I'll see y'all in a little while. Well, I'm back. But whilst I rested my knees, I did a little reading on that, what I think is a solenoid on that power steering pump. And I believe it is a pressure control solenoid. The only thing I can think of how it works is like on the 4L80E transmission, the pressure control on it. It's pulse width modulation. That's how it controls pressure. Anyway, we're probably gonna have to do away with that some kind of way. I saw a little apparatus, I think screws in there that it's a pressure reducer is what it is for rack and pinion. They need less pressure than like a square body steering box. We'll have to have something like that. But anyway, we'll worry about that later. Right now, let me show you what we got to do about the radiator. What I did is ordered the wrong one. They got 3 or 4 different ones. This is the thicker one. They had one that's 1 3/4 inches, and it would fit. This is 3 inches. You know, after you add your rubber, that's a good 3/8 on either side. Yeah, that's what I did. I ordered the wrong one. So what we're going to do, knock these brackets. These are rivets. I was hoping they were bolts, but they're not. We're gonna knock them off, pull these out, make them however much wider we need to make them, and then weld them together, put them back on. We'll have to do the same thing to the top one here, and that'll be that. So let me get these little fellers knocked off real quick. I'm gonna see if I can drill these rivets out. All right, let me get a bigger drill bit. There's one. There's the other one. That rivet come out, this one didn't. Let me get a punch and work on that. Now what I gotta do is see what I've got now. I gotta figure out, how much I gotta widen these. I gotta really push on this though. That's showing 2 5/16. This is 3. Let me make sure. Yep, dead on 3. So we gotta go 11/16 wider. Let's just say 3/4. So what I'm gonna do is cut it on one side of the hole, add 3/4, weld all that back. So let me find some thin metal to make this out of, and that's what we'll do. Well, here's what I found. This is a piece off of Jolly Green Giant repair. I think it looks like a kick panel maybe. Anyway, it's already got this little bend like right here. So we'll measure however wide this needs to be. We'll cut her, put a bend on the other end, welder, you got to cut this, weld it in, there you go. Got everything cut. Now what I got to do, get this stuff here aligned up, make me a mark where I need to bend it. Kind of hard to do. Approximately right there. I need to put a bend right there. Put it in my brake press right here. That ain't bad. Now, does this match up with this? Not bad. Now I need to come up a little bit. How am I going to do this? I guess I'm just going to have to guesstimate this portion. About right there. See if I can't bend her back. Let me get a screwdriver or something. That ain't tall enough, but it'll probably be okay. Let's see. Now I need to make a mark where to cut it off at. Right there. Right there. Let me go cut that off, and then we'll tack this together and see what it looks like. Well, here it is. I don't know what happened. My width this way, it's lacking. But other than that, it'll probably be okay. Yep. Is it perfect? No. Do I care? Also no, because you won't never see it once we get the radiator in. Let me see if I can tack this up, put the rubber in there, and make sure it'll fit on a radiator. Well, it's a little crooked. That ain't too bad though. I'll let this cool off so it don't burn our rubber pieces. Ooh, it's hot. We'll put them in there and check it on the radiator. All right, time to see if this is gonna fit over this or not. It's tight, but I think it'll work. You don't want it loose, you want it to be holding it where it won't be flopping around. Yeah, I think it'll work. Let me do the other bottom one, and I got to do the top one. I got to do it a little better, you know, because you can see it. When I get them done, I'll be back. Well, I got the other bottom one done. I got the top one done. Oh, yeah. You can't even tell nothing's been done to that, can you? Nope, you sure can't. Let me show you what I did. Well, first of all, one of these was hanging off the edge here. Why they did that, I don't know. Anyway, I cut these brackets loose from this one. Then, as you can see, I cut them in two and then slid them back 3/4 of an inch, because you know that's what we needed, and welded them back. There you go. When you flip it over, once I get it painted, you'll never know that was ever changed. Nope. Let me clean this up and paint it. I'm gonna let that dry overnight, and I think we're gonna call it a day. Oh, wait a minute. Let me show you my doomishness on. Here it is. Let me get these parts and pieces on the radiator support. You know, I said my mounts didn't work. Well, I was trying to put, for whatever reason, all of this on the top, and that ain't how it went. No. The only thing goes up here is that square washer you bolt, and then this goes in between there, and then you got stuff that goes on the bottom. Now, you know how my brain is, fellas. Sometimes when it gets an idea in its head, well, it can't deviate. That's what happened there. Whilst I was editing that night, I realized, you dummy, that ain't how it goes. Anyway, I'm gonna get this cleaned up and painted. See y'all tomorrow. Here's the next day. Again, here are the painted parts. For some reason, I painted that with gloss paint. Why? I don't know. It don't matter. You won't ever see them. Here's the part you will see. It don't look too bad. You can see a little bit of blemishes in here, but I don't care. Let's get this bolted in there. Oh, I got to put this stuff on my, what's this called? Radiator support. Do that, put them in, and then get the radiator in. Don't scratch the paint, man. Drop the bolt, man. This one goes here. Oh, wait a minute. I need to lift that up. Let's get down on my knees. Yeah, hurt them worse. I got to lift this up a small amount. Come on, man. All right, I think it goes, according to the paper, rubber goes towards the support here. Ow, my finger. Then these stack like this here. All right, let me get the other one in. Oh, yeah. All right, let's get this bottom radiator bracket back in place. Where did the nut go? I lost it. I found it. It's a little crooked. No, it ain't. Let me get the other one. Then we can get the radiator in. Now we get to put our rubber pieces in. Just like that right there. Let's get the radiator, see if it'll go in. Will it or won't it? I gotta get her centered before I push it down, because it's a tight fit. That and that. It looks pretty good. Push her on down. I think it went. Oh yeah, she's sitting down in there just pretty as you please. As the rubber, yeah, it's enough to protect it, you know, from metal to metal scratching. Yep, all right, let me get the top bracket. All right, right hither is where they go. Get us a bolt started right here. Let's tighten her up. Ooh, that one, yeah, it ain't acting right. What about this one? Nope. I gotta run a tap in these holes. Yep. Let me do that real quick. Let's use this here gun. Maybe I won't break it off in there. Ta-da! Like a glove. there you have it, fellers. Well, I'm not a fan of this. It's going uphill, and I don't know. I don't know what's going on with it. I don't like the looks of it, but it'll do for now. Yeah, it ain't a show truck. Nope. It definitely is not a show truck. I do have a concern here. You know, we do have our electric fan, but going down the road, got a big gap here, a big gap here. Air's going to take the path of least resistance. That's right through here instead of through here. We'll have to see how it cools. If it does okay, ain't gonna worry about it. But if it wants to run hot going down the road, we might have to put us a little block off plate, or those that I took off right here. I won't throw them away yet. We'll keep them. We might have to put them back. Anyways, it'll do for now. Also, last night, I got to looking at this water neck here. Well, it's pointing all over here to the fender. That's useless. So I bought one that is swivel on Amazon. I don't know if it'll be here tomorrow or next day, but anyway, we'll put that on when we get it, and that'll make routing the hose easier. I don't know. I forgot which one is inlet and out. I'm assuming this is out going to the radiator. Well, that's going to be a trick getting it over there. And then this in here, when we get that swivel, we'll aim her down. It'll be a short hose right here. Yep. Anyways, it's glad to get that done. Now, let's raise it up. We'll get our brand new drive shaft in it. And let's put the bolts in the torque converter. I have a very serious question. How do you get the bolts in? There's no room. I might be able to get to them if I take the starter off. That's interesting. I've never seen that before. Let's check our clearance between our, what's that called? Torque converter and our flex plate. You want, I think about a 3/16 maximum. Let me find a 3/16 drill bit right here. And oh, we got double that. We're going to use some space oars. Yep. Let's see what it is. Whatever this is right here, let me measure it real quick with the calipers. It's 210 thousandths. 3/16 is 187. That ain't bad, but if I can get a whoosher in here for space, that's what I'll do. Where are my bolts? I got to go find them. I'm ill prepared for this section of the video. All right, let me get the starter out of the way. Hopefully, this will give us enough room. Well, it appears that we got room because there's a hole right there. So let me see if I can get this here whoosher spacer up in there and then get this bolt started just like that right there. Oh yeah. Let me tighten that up a little bit. Where did my wrench go? Is that it? No. I'm having trouble keeping up with stuff today for some reason. All right, let's run that in. I'm not going to tighten it up until I get all of them in. Well, I want to run it in because I'm afraid it's going to hit. Maybe not. Anyway, let's roll her on around. Can I do that by hand? Am I stout enough to turn this high compression motor? Oh yeah, look at here. All right, there's the next one there. I believe this gets 6 bolts. Oh, there's number 2. Let me get 4 more and I shall return. Last one to tighten up right here. Heave ho! Heave! That's about 700 foot-pounds. That's the proper torque. Now, let me get the starter on real quick, and then we'll get the drive shaft in. Well, here is the driving shaft. Let's get this little feller up in here. Maybe I can do it without scratching that pretty new paint job. She needs to turn about like that. Come on. Well, son of a gun. Why will that not go on? What in the world, man? There we go. She went in. We got to turn slightly, about right there. Oh, wait a minute. That yoke there's cruddy. Let me clean it real quick. It's got some grease and stuff in here. Ow, I hit my eyeball. I want to get this cleaned up a little bit. I'm worried a little bit. You know, we put yokes on both ends of the shaft. We didn't have no way to locate this or true it up in the lathe. Remember me tell you, both surfaces are machined. Hopefully, if you mash them together, it'll run pretty true. That's my only concern, is not being able to check that. If I start building drive shafts a lot, complete drive shafts, what I need to do, make a pin that'll fit in here, and then maybe have a center drilled in it. That way we can chuck that end up and put a dial indicator on it and get it trued up. I'll have to do a little thinking on that. Bolt holes are full of dirt dauber stuff too. Let me clean them out real quick like. There's a song on the radio there. Y'all know I listen to bluegrass all day out here. It's called Big Eyed Rabbit. What the devil kind of song is that? All right, that's probably good enough. Let's get this little fella on up in here. Well, these won't go in. Let's see, I guess I'm gonna have to pull it back out. I'll put one in here and then put the other one in just like that right there. Wait a minute, get out, come on. All right, now we can put that little fella back in there. Oh, wait a minute. This cap come off. This is really starting to aggravate me. All right, it's in. Those won't go through the holes though. Well, when I get this done, I'll be back because I'm fixing to get mad about it. Yep, I really am. Well, there's your drive shaft, fellas. Yep, that was a battle getting these U-bolts in there. I guess these holes were so cruddy up, but I won as usual. Yep. Also, now that end is tightened up, we've grown a little bit here. We're like 7/8, maybe a little bit more. I think it'll be okay. Yep. I think it'll be just fine and dandy. Well, we are a few steps closer to getting this old pile of rust back on the road once again. I know I've said this a few times over the last month, but next week, I would like to be able to drive this feller under its own power. Stopping, that's optional right now, but I won't be able to back him out, pull him over here to the side, get him out of the way, get something else in here. That is the goal. Good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. That's going to happen next week. I'll see y'all on the next one.